Alright, so I just sat out here for way too long this morning thinking about all the things. So this is my post-race update. Last night, the Fat Turtles ran to write it all down, Narragansett Summer Nights 5K at Mount Hope Farms. And it was warm, if any of you are familiar with the area. We were, feels like of 103. I think that was about 2 hours before the race. It was the third day of a heat wave, or the second. It was just hot. So I finished. My gun time was 42:47 and my chip time was 41:40, which I had explained to me because there's like a pack of, there were 404 people who ran last night. There was a pack, we were towards the back of the pack, so like the gun time when the race started to when I crossed the finish line was 42 minutes 42 seconds, but by the time I actually crossed the start line, basically like where the little chip activates and your race time starts, there was a little bit of a difference there, so that's why the change is. The Second Wind Timing, which is the company that did the timing really for the race, estimated I did a 13:24 for my miles. I ran my run app as well, just to kind of see, which is a little bit skewed because of when I had to start it. I wasn't really like 100% running yet, and then you get through the finish line, I grabbed a water and was like, okay, but it was fine. It said it was 13:16, 13:06, 14:25. So yeah, if you listen to the co-host's sort of like description of the race from earlier yesterday, that would be really helpful. I did not know I was going to be running through a field. Like, I knew there was a grassy part, but I didn't know it was a field. And then there was one part where you kind of ran through this like wooded trail. I wasn't ready for that. That's just the way it is. I was more nervous running on the grass than the wooded part because I was afraid, like, when grass is kind of like mushed down, you're not really sure like what's under there. Like, what am I stepping on? What's gonna happen? Am I gonna hit a hole? What are we doing here? But most importantly, it was very exciting in the beginning as we were all just kind of like waiting around and standing there and had the stream going, because Sean was great about streaming the whole thing. To see people in the chat and being encouraging, that was like super helpful. I cannot keep my music running as well as a stream, so I could only see the stuff in the beginning and then towards the end when I was done while we were waiting. But I do appreciate that, and that is encouraging, and I do want to go back and try to read some of the comments, because that's, it's helpful. This is hard. So it was nice to see people following along and encouraging us that way. And I think the co-host said it best when she was like, what this should show to people is that if we can do it, anybody can do it, right? I mean, we are I am a not athletic person. I mean, I worked out a bit, but I wouldn't consider myself an athlete by any stretch of the imagination. I wouldn't even, so it just do it, right? Just go ahead and do it. So yeah, that's it. The first place finisher finished that race in exactly 17 minutes 58 seconds, and that was the gun time. So that person literally ran like 3 times faster than me, which is just amazing to me. And there were people like running it before it even started and then coming in and running it again. It was just like, people are so good, so good. But yeah, it's done. I'm not really quite sure how I feel about it, to be honest. Like I said, I literally sat here like staring at the vegetable garden for a while this morning, just like, how do I feel about this? Like, how do I feel about what just happened? And I'm still not really quite sure. I have all the things about it. it is what it is. Tomorrow I start my 5 to 10K training, which is interval running again. 10 minutes running with a minute in between. Running for about 40 minutes. Hopefully not that much of a stretch from what I have been doing. But we'll see. I feel pretty good this morning. We all slept in. I mean, not to the point of late, just later than 5. Influenza's last day of school. Today's my first day of summer vacation. But yeah, that's it. So back to training tomorrow. Our next 5K is July 14th, I think. 14th or 19th, I can't remember. It's a Sunday. It's another Rhode Island based one. I think it ends in a vineyard or something. I did eat 3 pieces of pizza last night after my race. That was my reward, and had about 4 sips of a Narragansett something beer. That was good. I cannot drink water and run simultaneously, is a fun fact I learned about myself last night. They had water stations at 1.4 and 2.8, because basically the way this race works is you run out with some things and then you run back with some other things, and you start finish at the same spot. So 1.4 and 2.8 are the water stations. They were across the path from each other. Yeah, I can't drink and walk at the same time. I spilled a lot of it on myself, and then it ended up in my shoe, and that was just, I don't like wet feet. I need to practice that, or I need to carry something so I don't have to depend on outside water sources, because that didn't work very well for me. But yes, again, really biggest takeaways, thank you for the support. I know it may not seem like a lot. It's encouraging. It was nice to know that people were following along on this journey. So that was good. I think it was also helpful to keep your mind off of things for some of us. Like, it's nice to be like, oh, I don't have to think about what I'm actually doing so much as I can read this chat or interact with people there. So that was good. Yeah, so this was rambling because my brain is really rambling this morning about it all. I'm not really quite sure. Yeah, so back to the grind tomorrow, hoping for a better run. I did finish in less than 45 minutes, which was my ultimate goal, even with the heat. The co-host and I were closer than we had expected to be. She's been training a bit longer, and it was just what it was. So heat, total factor. Terrain for me was unusual. I wasn't ready for that. There's a bug crawling on my leg. But yeah, that was pretty much it. So Friday, just gonna do all the things. Oh, my neighbor's cat. Hey, Scooty. Coming home for supper, breakfast, whatever. He's outside all the time. That's it. Probably gonna delete this one and do it again. That's the vibe I'm getting right now.